Me when? All right, good evening, everybody. It is 6 o'clock. I am going to call the meeting to order. I am going to start by performing a roll call of the library board members. So I am Maria Amp, the president, and I'm present. Ravian is excused absent this evening. Alan?
Here.
Judy Williams-Kalaki? Okay. Terry is here, walking in the door. So I visually see him. Mike Karalevitz is excused absent. Judy Miller?
Here.
Anne Marie?
Here.
And Kristen is excused absent. All right. I don't want to start the meeting without acknowledging at least worldwide events that are taking place. And the one thing I thought of on the way over here is the issue of freedom and how lucky we are that, you know, whether it's our small town of Franklin, Wisconsin, and our public library, that we just hope and wish for freedom for all. And I think it ties into some of our guests that are here this evening, and I'll have you guys introduce yourself when we get to that point in the agenda. But along the same note, I do just wish all of you mental and physical health and wellness at this time in our lives. So we will continue on. We have a pretty packed agenda tonight. I am going to attempt to keep things moving, but there are things we need to talk about. I don't want anyone to feel like they are going to go unheard. So please don't feel like you have to, you know, cut your comments short because of the full agenda. We need to make sure that we are all feeling like we're being heard. So, back to the agenda. We have some visitors today. So if you could introduce yourselves. Boss, did you say?
Good evening, board member. My name is Gene Hembrook. I'm the current commander for Franklin Wiley Hurdy American Post 192 American Legion.
Okay.
And his first vice Walter Pfeiffer.
Okay.
And his wife Linda Pfeiffer, who is, what is your rank?
Well, I'm the finance officer.
That's right. I thought you had more than that. She's also 4th District Commander. So.
Well, welcome, and thank you for coming this evening.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes. And you have some information about the Veterans Mural for us?
We do. We have some final reviewed pictures that the art students drew, and we would like you to review them.
Okay.
And you know, give us your opinion, and if there's any that you like specifically more than others, so we can come down to a final number, so we can get these framed and taken care of. So,
Do we
whenever you
have?
want to do that, I'll pass these around.
Okay.
Want to do that now?
I think that was the plan. Sure.
Okay.
Yes. So we just have the one copy for now. That's going to go around. And is it our job to make the
If you have any
final
questions
decision about it?
just,
It's the board's,
The board's
Yes.
okay.
it's the board's decision.
Okay. Are they numbered? Are they?
No.
No.
Okay. Does your group have a recommendation based on what you have seen?
These were ones that we definitely thought were good.
Okay. So I want to say weeded out, or you've already narrowed it down
We
to
narrowed it
these.
down to where
Okay.
we thought those were acceptable.
They depicted the branches of the armed forces.
Gotcha.
Their views, their ideas.
Okay.
And is this the size, or are they bigger? Is that
8 by 10.
8 by 10.
They're 8 by 10.
you gonna be?
6 to what? What was the number?
How many do you have there? 8. You've got 8 of them there. And then we have some that are maybes that could also go up as well. These were optionals.
So is there like a number that you're trying to get to, or?
Whatever you want to put up, whatever there's
Oh,
room
okay.
for.
Yeah.
And Jennifer, do you have a space, or do you have an idea of what?
Well, really, you know, where the board would like to put them, I mean, you guys make that decision, but this, one of the, you know, the study rooms. We could put one in one of the study rooms.
And how big are they gonna be? 8 by 10.
8 by
That's what you
10.
see there.
But you could do, you
Each
know,
one 8
each-
by 10?
You could put,
Or an
you
8 by
could
10
frame
full.
it. You could do 4 in each.
The original thought that had come up when we first started this project was that curved area in the back of the library there, around the meeting rooms, above the meeting rooms,
Yeah,
to have the 4 or 5 symbols of the armed forces, and then the pictures interspaced in between there. That was one idea, so
Sure.
it was never really finalized, but that was gonna be a favorite idea. I'll put these out here so that you can.
I mean, do you guys just wanna,
I was going to say, instead of,
Lay 'em out.
would you
Yeah.
two like to?
why don't I put a table out?
yeah, okay, well, here, we're good.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
This other batch were optionals that we looked at as
Possible.
possibles. And then there were some that we totally eliminated because they weren't anywhere near
What you wanted to?
what we found, what we looked at as being depicted as military at all.
Looking at the 4
We
branches,
weren't quite
5
sure where the
branches.
kids were coming from.
What'd you say?
The only one I don't like out of the top 8 that you have is the guy standing there with a gun, and I guess I just have a sour taste right now with what's
Then
going
take it out
on in
completely.
Ukraine and Russia.
In a library, a public library, I'm not sure that that's
Yeah.
what we want.
Okay, then remove that.
Okay.
But-
I mean, it's well done.
That's
That's
why-
not our.
that's why we want you
know,
to look at 'em, too.
Right, right. We're not judging the artwork.
That's why you have the right to say, no, that's not appropriate.
Did anybody have strong feelings about keeping that one in? I don't wanna, okay.
So is the idea that we could we put all of them, like in different areas, like in, or how would it work? Or do we have a good limit?
I think it would make a, no, I mean, you guys are, you get a library here.
However you would want it framed, we
It's
would
one
frame
spot,
it.
but then you have like multiple.
So, the Indian Community School,
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
the Indian Community School
Frame it like this.
is considered a mural. So we are using that term for that presentation also. So however we, you know, it's, I've had to readjust my thinking on
Put this
that
one
term.
aside, like that one here in the
What
middle.
about that one right over there?
Which one?
Which one?
This one's pretty cool. To go with the left one.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
I like that one.
So is the idea to frame these or to have them redo them in a different size or to?
8 by 10, right?
It just
8
was-
by 10.
this was
Gotcha,
right
these
there.
are their final,
What do you
okay.
think?
This is
But
it.
you know, you could
Um,
frame them.
if they did
In
it.
fours, right,
Sure,
and
sure.
put them in multiple.
Who are the artists? Where did you?
These were kids from the actual art group from the junior and senior high school.
Art
But
club.
they were from the art group,
Art club in Franklin, yeah.
from Franklin Art Group.
School and, Waitsfield.
So I think they should, I like what you're doing here, like grouping them, but I think they should be in one place with some sort of signage that says what this is.
I agree.
Definitely.
We're gonna have to have some explanation.
Oh, they would be, the pictures would be right next to each other?
Like not separate studies.
No.
Okay.
No.
Split them up. Put
No,
them
we have
all
a-
in one
All in
place.
one,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, but, group them like this, and then there could even be another group.
There could be another group.
There could be.
Possibly think so, but.
I like that idea with the black and white and one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, otherwise just these, but, I mean, as long as you identify this as student artwork, it changes how we view it too, because.
Yeah, it was Mandy Monet
Yeah.
from the Franklin High School art.
And I can contact her and maybe see if she could write up something about the artist.
Yeah, or just, and then have the project should be described and then the groups and pictures look really nice.
Is there one more we could put, it's just, I don't know if there's a way to like do it like one more, it just seems odd having this one right here. You go closer, right there.
But can I just,
It's interesting that, this is through the eyes of young.
do you mind if I'm doing
Do-
this?
do-
Okay.
No?
Do what you
I
want
like
to do.
this colorful.
That's what this is for.
Our artist.
mean, I don't know how much money was going into this, but would it be possible to do them, frame them as a group?
Like three
Well,
separate
yeah,
frames.
I think we're paying for the framing, right? Or
Are we
what's the
paying for the
framing?
framing?
Possible, but it's nothing.
How does that work?
Do you know what I mean?
It may
Instead
not
of
be.
eight, I think.
You know what I could do, I could ask the foundation to do that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Impact.
So you're thinking, what, you have like one shadow box and with 4 of them in, or?
Yeah.
Like three separate,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a bigger frame, cause then it would really garner a
That
lot
would
more
be fine.
attention.
Whatever, that was,
What do you
that would
think?
be
Yeah,
great.
we can ask the foundation to do it.
I don't have a problem with that.
Annie.
I
Other
mean,
board
we're
members.
pretty good at the foundation.
Those two
That
are so
helps.
similar.
Yeah, maybe
Those
like
are
that
so
one, yeah, so
similar.
it's not, yeah, it's very
Oh,
similar.
yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want that landscape view. I don't know. How to do that, you have better eye.
And then I mean to start.
Let me understand this, was it one instructor, and these are all,
There were
like,
3
students?
instructors involved in this, Mandy Monet, Paula Bosch, and Francesca Simonet.
And middle school into high school.
Okay.
Middle school and high schools that
I
were
just wanna
involved
make
with
sure
this.
that, you know, they're acknowledged
Of
for
course,
the work,
of course,
you know.
And was it the honors part?
It was the art club that was doing this.
Art
Yeah, the
club,
art club, so
okay.
kids who are
Right, right.
a little more artistic and.
Yeah, the club, the after-school activity type.
Yeah.
So what is our, are we looking for a final approval of the actual ones we want framed this evening?
That would be good.
Okay, all right.
It's nasty.
And do you feel strongly about, I mean, you guys have been doing this.
Well, we
for
went,
years.
yeah, I mean, we went through, these are all
Come on,
ones,
Judy.
we figure, okay, these are number 1, these are A, these are B.
Right.
Are you okay that we
Of
pull
which
some of
we
these?
can mix.
And we
or-
rearranged a little bit.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, there were
That's
some
fine.
we actually, I mean, there's some that we pulled out that were just totally inappropriate, that had
Okay.
nothing to do with military.
Gotcha.
That were, there were more guns in it and
Sure.
that just were, no, absolutely not.
And some of the Bs were with, you know, or
Right,
As
right,
like that, it's
yeah,
kind of,
yeah, yeah.
it could go either way. That's why we're, you know,
Mhm.
These can start on
We all take a
Mantle,
look at it.
Indian schools can go on Clever Story, we can start filling that in.
We have an
This is
interior
fine.
designer here too.
That's
now.
good.
I'm an interior
That's
designer.
great.
Well,
But do you, I mean, what do you guys think? I think, so I imagined when we first started talking about this mural thing, that we would, you know, where the Claire story is, and that's just that big open space. Like every time there's a mural project started on the mantle and then they end up going up on the Claire story, so we're filling that space in with the history of this project.
Sure.
And filling in that, I think it would be really
So
cool.
you're suggesting moving the Indian Community School
So,
project up
right.
there and putting this on the heart
And then
to
the next,
start?
yeah, and then the next one we get, we move these, go up, and that goes up. Do you know what I mean? So then,
you just keep, as it comes, you
Yes,
spread it out
right.
throughout the
are
library.
you, like, is that crazy?
Well, what do you think, Jennifer? I mean, as far as,
Or on that curved wall,
Yeah, I mean,
where
right,
that one,
but I mean, just to give them some place of focus for a while,
right,
and then.
out front, so that they're seen.
right.
Yeah, if
Instead
people
of
walk in,
blocking
they would
the
see
way
it right off,
inside.
right on the.
And that was, yeah, that was my concern about putting them in the study rooms off the bat, and I had just in our agenda meeting said to Jennifer, well, then we need to put something right up front that says, go to the
Yeah,
study
that was when
rooms to
people would
see
see
it,
'em.
you know?
I like starting them out on the mantle.
I mean, we had, when we first got the Indian community school stuff, we did have them on easels out in the library for a while.
Right, right.
The particular problem with those is that they're made on, it's done on old books, and you really can't see the detail even up on the mantle, so it'd be nice if there was some other exhibit space eventually for those.
Makes sense.
All right, task at
Are
hand,
we all in agreement?
Sure.
to do this 3 groupings of 4, and to frame them
As a
in
group.
3 separate frames. Is what's being suggested for the groupings of 4.
Oh,
It's your wall. Well, I know, but you look at them now.
I gotta go take notes.
Right. So these,
no, I like the idea of the.
we're not rejecting.
No.
You you know, you don't wanna use that word, but we're not using,
We did pick these.
right. So that's
Very
one.
true.
Hannah, you gonna take care of that for us?
So it was listed as a presentation, so I'm assuming we don't need to take action on it. It's just the recommendation to frame them as we have chosen.
Those are the three groups. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your input.
All right. Are there any other questions or suggestions? Now, the next step would be to contact the foundation to see if they would map them and mount them. Okay, and you and Anne Marie will,
Yeah, they have a
Well, Annie.
meeting, they have a meeting
Well-
coming up in early May.
Should we leave these with you tonight then?
Are you,
is that okay?
Yes,
Is that the best idea to
can-
do,
yeah, I
to show them
can-
how? Okay,
because I can keep them in a safe spot,
okay.
okay.
and the foundation meeting is in early May,
Okay.
so.
It'll be a little while, but, yeah. All right, do you have any other questions for the board?
Leave this letter with it so that.
That would be good, so we have the appropriate people to, you know. So any other questions or comments from you? Okay, well, thank you very much for bringing that in and kind of narrowing it down for us and presenting us with some very good options for that. We really appreciate it.
Your input and your-
Yeah,
And thank you for asking us to do that for you. I mean, you know,
yeah,
it involves the community, it involves our Legion post and getting in touch with the schools and
right, right.
letting
Signage,
them know and.
the artists, the post.
Yeah.
Right.
We'd all have to include all of that
Is
in.
are the artist names on the back?
I'm
Of
not
everything?
sure if their names are on the back or not.
I saw a name on one of them on the front.
Are the names on the other, were the students' names on the other artwork we have now above the,
It looks like there's names on some of them.
sure.
You're making
It,
Have a name.
what size?
it looks like it.
All in, concepts.
So we don't have the student names on the current
It's on the
Indian
back of
school?
them.
It's on the back of the pictures.
Okay.
Each student put their name on there.
Looks like one might be missing.
How did we present that Indian school mural initially? Did we have actual student names, or do we not do that because they're minors, or do we
They
have them
just, I
sign?
mean, the Indian
if-
Community School did the whole project.
So it's just credited to
It's
them?
credited to them in general.
It looks like the student has their name on the back of each one.
Okay,
So if there's any question.
and we have the
we have
instructors'
any issue that
names.
Can't decipher it. We could
Sure.
probably talk to the teacher.
Yep.
So there's no names on the Indian school ones?
Mm-mm.
It's just, it's been a while since I've seen those. The
Yeah,
Indian
me
Community
too.
School, I don't know how it's credited.
I'll just leave these up here with you then.
Perfect, yeah.
Cause we need some kind of signage for it.
Thank you so much.
Signage, and my idea too was that when we have enough, when we have more murals, we can actually make a pamphlet that talks about kind of the original artwork that's in the Franklin Public Library.
Mhm.
It's kind of my idea.
We're done.
Okay, and then I'll be in touch with you about Veterans Day.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh yeah, are you gonna take over Veterans Day? Bless your heart.
We have a meeting, we have to.
They're meeting in May, or, no.
No, we have a meeting we have to have of our post to discuss it, but
Sure.
I have been in touch with the AMVets for what needs to be done.
Thank you in advance.
Way to go, Annie.
No-
And I
no
understand
pressure.
the Lions Club is gonna take over
Bricks.
the bricks and the flags, so.
That, yeah,
Oh,
Are
excellent.
you involved in, well, I'm the superintendent for the school district and we're working on the wall of honor for the,
Oh, for the,
Yeah, we did the wall of honor, so we'll continue with that.
I'm talking about
no traveling wall.
the traveling wall.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
for the traveling
I
wall.
just sent my paperwork in for setup
You're
and
gonna help with
two or
that?
three days to.
Nice.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fabulous.
I was fortunate enough a few years ago, my daughter lives in Virginia, near DC. She got me into, they had called me when I came down with a pen. Every year they announce all the names. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, in front of the wall, I had my list with the TV cameras and everything, reading off names.
Very
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
That's
Very
cool.
nice.
What letter?
I'm sorry?
They're not alphabetized.
They're not
No.
alphabetized,
Oh, that's
no.
right, they're
They're by
not.
date, date of,
That's right.
Oh, huh.
And there's the book, guidebook.
yeah.
Hmm.
My cousin's on that wall.
Oh.
One of the names was a kid I grew up with.
Really?
Wow. Hmm.
Well,
Well,
thanks for everything
thank
you
you
do.
again.
Thank you for everything
Thank you
you
for
do.
being
Thank you.
here.
Appreciate it.
We're going to continue with our agenda. You're obviously welcome to stay, but you're very welcome to leave also.
Yeah, it feels like I have a lot of meetings anyway. Thank you so much
But
for all
thank
you
you
do. We
for
appreciate it.
everything and for getting this done for us. So, all right. Moving on then, no additional public comments, so we're gonna look at the minutes from January 24th, which is pages 2 and 3 in our packet.
I just have one question.
Yes.
Why am I absent, not excused?
Well, to be honest with you, Annie, I think neither Jennifer or I received your,
You do.
so if you send something, for some reason,
I
we,
told you at the foundation meeting.
Oh, well, I guess I forgot. So she.
okay. The-
I didn't even know. I just like put it out there, so I didn't know. Like it was not intentional on my part. So.
Okay. So
Okay,
there we
so
go,
she's
she's
done that.
excused,
She's
so
excused.
we will, change that to
I
excused.
didn't blow you guys off.
Well, it was kind of an interesting interaction there right at the beginning when we noticed you weren't here, but I'm glad that you told her,
Hey, you
it's,
didn't remember?
that's fine, it's not like
And I was
our
worried.
brains
I was
are.
like, Annie always lets me know when
I was
she.
out of town for my anniversary, remember?
Oh yeah, now I remember.
Nice, and Judy, can I just confirm one thing?
But thank you for asking.
I think I figured it out, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Well, Jennifer and I were talking about this, but under under item 2B, the treasurer's report,
Yeah.
like almost exactly midway down, it said discussed fund balance down to 104,000. Is that in reference to Fund 15?
Yes.
It's all under, and then it starts with Fund 16.
Yeah.
Just making sure
Yeah,
I understood
that's-
that
yes,
correctly.
I did miss two separate ones.
Because it was a really long, you had a lot to say about Fund 15, and I wanted to make sure
I
that
was
that
mad about Fund 15. I don't know.
that comment was still regarding Fund 15, so no changes need to be made to that part, I just needed clarification
Yeah.
on that.
The fund balance is not down to.
No, the fund balance is.
down 104,000.
So I get rid
Oh.
of.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, that is a change then,
So
so
you
it's,
gotta take out the word two.
so it's
Yes.
down, yeah, because that number looks strange, which is why it caught my eye, and okay, all right,
Yeah, so we need to remove two.
yes,
Got it.
So the two revisions of listeners more would be revised to indicate that Annie is excused.
mm-hmm.
Woo woo.
And the fund balance was down
Now, so remove
104,000.
two in front of that, yeah.
Any other comments about the minutes? Okay, can I have a motion to accept the minutes from the January 24th, 2022 meeting of the Board of Trustees?
So moved.
Alan, do I have a second?
Second.
Judy Miller, all in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. And then, we had like I feel like it was like shuffling the cards for tonight's meeting regarding who was gonna be here and who was not. Alan was, Alan wasn't, Mike was, Mike wasn't, blah, blah, blah. So, it really is Alan's report tonight, not Terry, but Terry, thank you for agreeing to step in when Alan wasn't gonna be here. Okay.
Okay, looking at Fund 15. Well, we are first month, 8.49% of the total year. So as you look at the percentages, anything over 8.49 is running higher than what we would possibly want. Fund 15 had no revenue, and that includes no revenue for investment earnings, which we had the same thing happen, I believe.
In December.
In December.
That's a question of mine. Now
Yeah.
for December, January, and February, 3 months straight, there's no revenue posted.
Well,
I don't know about
this is
February
January.
yet.
We don't know.
Oh,
about
sorry,
February.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I would suspect this has to do with the finance director.
Yes, that's what I'm wondering if that's the feeling you're getting also, okay.
Fund balance for Fund 15 is down $102,206. The only thing that I had heartburn with in Fund 15 was under employee benefits. The accounts 5154, 5155, 5156, the health, the life, and the workers' comp. Every one of those is not running to budget, and in particular the health is running pretty strong. If you annualize out the charge that we had for this 1 month, multiply it by 12, you come up with $92,023, and the budget is 85,009. Oh no,
81,220?
yes, 81,220, and that. Well, actually, the sum of the three is going to be 92,000, and the sum
Oh,
of
I
the three
see.
budgeted is 85,973, and that's a $6,000 difference. And I talked to Jennifer about it, and she said what they probably did for the budget is there was some thought that an individual would be leaving the health insurance, and so they budgeted as such, but the person isn't leaving till March, so we're getting hit with a higher number right now.
Oh,
But it just bothered me that because these are monthly bills, you know, like for life and
Right,
health
right.
and
and you don't ever, well, okay, I don't know, do you budget expecting somebody to drop off? I mean, that's not,
well, they may have, but.
but
it's
is that a good way to budget?
Oh, I
mean,
don't, and we're just kind of thinking maybe that's what they did. The
Okay.
other thing that can happen is, I was talking to Alan, when they put the budget together, it's before open enrollment, and sometimes there are
Right,
changes during
that
open
was my
enrollment.
thought, yeah, that was.
Like,
that-
that's what
yeah,
happened to us last year.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But I continued whining to Jennifer before the meeting and saying, you know, we were able to change the reciprocal borrowing number last month because we had to do it to get it right in last year's budget, to get the right amount of money and put it in the right place. But things like this, we don't change. You know, at some point when you put together a budget, you gotta live with it. Maybe you make some big changes because it's really off.
Right, right.
But otherwise, you just kind of flow with it, because it's your vision of the future, and then
Right.
reality steps in.
Well, I have some questions, though. I mean, one, they're not doing open enrollment in time to figure out what the budget might look like. They don't have it on like a June to June or something like that.
No, it's
And
in November.
two, they should never be budgeting based upon somebody leaving.
And
Yeah.
maybe they're not, I'm
No.
saying maybe they're not. That, it might
Yeah.
have to do with changes
We-
during open enrollment.
We were guessing as to why
Yeah.
we'd be
Right,
off
but
at
you should be able to
6,000.
see that, Jennifer. You should be able to see who's on benefits. Don't you know who's on benefits?
I know who's on benefits, but I don't know their benefit level. For example, last year when when somebody went from single to family,
Yeah.
I didn't know that they went from single to family until,
Well, can you see if there's somebody who actually enrolled who wasn't enrolled before?
oh, I would have been told that.
But that's all, are you saying that those type of changes are, your employees are making through the city and not
Right.
through you? So
Is
we,
there a way for us to inquire about that? Because, I mean, if it turns out that it's not that, and they just budgeted it wrong, I think it's something else to raise during the finance thing, which is you're not budgeting right for us.
Well, I did say that Alan, I could talk to the
Yeah.
new finance person.
the new
The new.
Oh my God.
person.
Well,
Did they hire one yet?
Wouldn't Peggy know?
Oh, Peggy would know, she's doing 2 jobs.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I understood.
So my other question about Fund 15, Alan,
Yes.
is, once again, I see nothing under electric and natural gas, if I'm reading this right,
I,
and didn't we not have a bill last month also?
So we
Or-
did have a bill last month, and then the comment was made that they'll probably put another one in there. And that's something else that I wonder why in the world we can't get an electric bill every single month.
And I guess my question is, do you think that has to do with the, issue with the finance director? And, I mean, we should be able to see our bills, whether or not there's somebody over there, or does it all go through them and they can only be?
I mean, I approve them, and I think I just approved January's electric and gas.
Oh, so it's your fault.
Okay, so it comes to you first?
I pretty much do them right away when they
Yeah.
send them to me.
So those bills are mailed to the library and you see them?
No, they all go to the city.
Okay, yeah, all right,
They all go to the city, and then I approve the library's portion of those
Gotcha.
bills.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, are we gonna approve the vouchers and invoices? Cause I think that's actually on the,
I
that before that?
apologize.
yes, before.
Oh,
the-
yeah.
Thank you.
Probably
Oh,
wanna
so you
see
want me
that.
to follow the agenda?
That was my fault too.
Just an idea.
I just said, go for it, Alan, and he
Sorry.
started it on Fund 615.
I was
Yeah.
like waiting for motions, like, wait a minute, we're waiting for motions.
Do we wanna make some closure to Fund 15 though, so we don't have to come back to
I
it?
just wanna make sure we don't forget, cause.
Okay,
Oh,
that's a
no,
big deal.
That was
No.
what I had for Fund 15.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Judy does.
I would just make that comment that, you know, when you're trying to determine what's a budget for benefits, what you really do is you take a snapshot of the employee group at a given time.
Right.
And that's the number you use, because you cannot predict who's going to leave and who's gonna come and what level of benefits. That's the best you can do, but when you do that's important too.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's why I think we need to figure out what they did, right? Because if it's something where they're just making assumptions, I think we wanna address that next year. If it's really something where it was the same people, but somebody changed the benefit level, then that's something we can't control, right?
Right,
We
right.
need to figure out what happened there, cause that's a pretty big expense.
And that's a pretty big change. Yeah,
I can
exactly.
do some research.
I'm also hoping it's not because premiums went up, right? Or
Well,
whatever
you know,
it was.
you would think they would have them set by the
Well,
time
that's
they do
what
the
I'm
budget,
hoping.
but
Uh,
I don't know.
I would
Not
think
until
they're also
open enrollment.
self-insured,
Well, what you think that would be the case, right? Yeah.
which means
It's a
your
big
premiums
margin.
aren't near as big a deal as your actual.
Do you know, Jennifer, they're self-insured, or do they go through like some
Charges.
sort of state plan?
No, there's open enrollment.
No.
But-
Is the insurance benefits, are the insurance benefits self-insured by the city of Franklin, or are they through some state plan?
Self-insured through the city of Franklin. At least they were, I
Well, then they
think.
should know.
Well, yeah, because you're just taking a swag at it anyway. If
Yeah.
6 people get cancer during the year, suddenly what you
Sure,
thought through
sure.
charges are gonna be there a lot higher.
Yeah, I think we should find out though what happened, cause.
I can ask
And that's
somebody.
understandable, assuming somebody's gonna come on or off.
Yeah. Although the size of the group, it probably should be pretty consistent.
All right, so we are gonna pause between 15 and 16 and go back to vouchers and
Let's
invoices.
look at the vouchers and invoices.
All right,
For Fund 15, we had a total of $60,254.37. There were only a couple things that I saw that I would question. Baker and Taylor seemed to be an amount larger than what I'm used to seeing for book CDs and DVDs. And Jennifer said, usually we hold back in December a little bit and then
Right.
hit it hard in January, so that's why it's just a little larger. And then the McFliss one, $47,803, that's an annual charge.
What is that for?
That's for all of our, like, ILS charges, our database, some of our databases that are purchased through the system.
And do we know it was gonna be that amount?
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
the
that-
C
it's all
detail, you
budgeted.
have the detail. C detail?
Yeah, where is that detail?
It's,
We don't have the detail, but
we
I'm
don't have-
assuming
You
you
have it.
have
There's the
approved,
detail.
you know, you see the detail, okay.
yes. And actually that $47,803 was divided up among 3 or 4 different accounts.
Gotcha, depending on what kind
Yeah,
of,
so
Where it comes out.
You're not
Yep.
gonna find that number
No.
when you look at the
okay,
financials.
all right.
So I would be looking for a motion to accept the $60,254.37 of invoices for Fund 15.
I will move. Is there a sec?
I'll second it.
Annie? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right.
I just find it so peculiar that there's things on this list that cost $13 and things that cost $47,000. It's unusual.
It's kind of that run to the grocery store for that the $2 gallon of milk, and then
The car repair.
the car repair. Right, exactly.
I guess I
I
just don't, not
understand.
for discussion, but
I know.
like, at some point, would there be like a threshold that these are the only invoices the board approves, after a certain number of dollars? I mean, we really have to approve an invoice for $13?
The board could decide that, they could put a threshold,
We approve a total.
right?
That's
I mean,
right.
we're not approving every single invoice. We're not.
Right.
But we look at them and ask questions.
Well, Alan, yeah, you're
I-
right. Yeah.
I look at them and I get the ones that are important.
Never mind.
But
He
if you want
loves,
more
he loves
information-
doing
I
it.
want less.
She wants less information.
She's streamlining.
Concentrate on that 60,000, Judy, not on the 13, right? Oh, man. I hear ya.
Okay, I'm gonna go off on a tangent, Judy started it.
Uh-oh.
If you really wanna streamline some things, like we have a report in this that is being filled out and Maria has to sign, I mean, I would say, you look at that and you say, did anyone have any questions on this? No? Thank you, and move on. I mean, you could do more of that.
Yeah, we have a lot of reports, it seems like, for the finances, right?
Yeah, and we're all supposed to read them before we get here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm with
okay.
you.
Well,
There are ways we could
you
streamline
could
it.
say, did everybody look at them? Any questions? And say, turn to page.
Like, except that nobody gets this in advance.
Well, that's true.
There's most
That's
people
true.
can't, but at the end of the treasurer's report, you just ask, is there any questions on any of the reports?
I guess, except for the vouchers and invoices, you could ask about the rest of it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I go through a little bit of detail here
Sure.
just to bring up things that I see.
Definitely.
That's fine, yeah, no.
Yes.
All right, Fund 16.
I
Fund
make
s-
a motion, we approve the invoices for Fund 16.
In the amount of $2,247.53.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Words right out of my mouth.
Do I have a second? Me, Maria. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any comments, Alan, about the Fund 16 expenditure, revenue and expenditure report?
Everything looked pretty much in order with the exception of, we seem to have problems with office supplies and printing going over, and we still have those.
Always.
And they're over again. And fines were 20.35% of budget for the first month.
That just means we got more than we thought we would.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me this month, by the way. Just saying.
People lost track of the books over Christmas.
Right.
Yep.
Over Christmas, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
keep going.
And that is the end of Fund 16. When we looked at the next page, which is the breakdown between, for the cash register report for Fund 16, everything tied out except for 4419, and Jennifer and I were able to tie it out to the penny as to what the discrepancies were.
We were,
Okay.
and it got changed on the copy that we keep in the library, so.
Yeah.
Oh, good, okay.
But the important thing is it was to the penny.
So I guess I would say, like, that credit card summary and this cash register report,
Yeah, we don't
do
really
we need to really,
No, once they're tying out, I
See
mean,
it.
I'm golden.
so maybe you can just tell us every month that it looks good and we don't need to.
The credit card summary looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Program supplies are,
I would say
and
let,
everything is fine.
we
yeah.
need to keep an eye on the office supplies because I think historically that's always over, so we may need to look at, the finance committee may need to look at either upping the budget or the staff needs to look at, and I know the supplies are going up, so that would be
Well-
one budget item that,
It's because we get a lot of grants, and we put grants and donations, and
and that
then,
never shows up right on there, yes.
so that is a question for the new finance director.
Yes, how can we show that?
Yeah.
So it doesn't always look like.
Cause it makes it look like I went over budget,
Right,
which is annoying.
yep. Okay,
Okay. So ends my report.
Okay, except for page, I don't have page numbers on
I
mine this
know, I
month.
think in my hurry I didn't put page
Okay,
numbers on, I'm sorry.
so
but
the
that-
City of Franklin resolution restricting the use of the fund balance. Do you
This
wanna?
was the document that you guys wanted to see.
Okay,
Where the 100,000 came from, but actually the 100,000 is not necessarily a floor. It is an amount to be used
right.
for,
Yes, I noticed that.
for, yeah, like air conditioning units and things like that, the maintenance. And we are allowed to spend into a negative deficit, and that's what we use 100,000 for also. So when they're looking at the 590,000 that we had as fund balance at the end of the year, I can understand from the standpoint of the city why they're saying we need to spend that down.
Okay.
So I think we ought to have a lot more parties.
We'll do a lot more repairs.
Well, that
Yeah.
too.
Oh,
Right?
don't worry.
They're coming. All right, well, thank you, and thank you, Jennifer, for pulling this up out of whatever archaic
Oh, I have it in
place
my
you have
files.
to. Okay.
It's buried in my files.
Sounds good. We are moving on to the business section of the, agenda, unless there's any other questions for Alan. Cutting you off, Alan.
No, it's good.
And the Franklin Public Library State Annual Report took up pages 11 to 22 in our packets. Historically, this has been an easy thing that Jennifer fills out, plugs all the numbers in, and we just need to approve it, and I need to sign it if I'm correct. Jennifer, did anything stick out to you or to any of the board members as being incorrect or looking funny? I don't think any of us can necessarily comment that the numbers of people attending the programs was right or wrong, seeing we don't have that information, so,
The state also considers those pretty soft numbers.
correct, I am sure they would do
So the
that.
financials are the more important, and I triple checked the
Yep.
financials. And then when, in April, when they are done with the audit, the 2021 audit, then I go back and double check to make sure none of the library numbers changed during the audit.
Okay,
So I have a question.
Yeah.
good.
Two questions, actually. One, we said staff reassigned during COVID-19. No, I thought we did reassign staff to the DPW or wherever that place was.
But this was for
during-
2021. So there were libraries that had staff reassigned in 2021.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is for 2021, then why do we have for the COVID closures dates in 2020?
The COVID closure, what?
So it says COVID-19 closures, and
Oh.
if they closed, we've got 2020 dates.
And what, is it the same page?
Page 3 of the,
Page 3 of the thing, okay.
yeah, page 3 of the report.
Yes, 3/16 of 2020 and 6/8 of 2020.
But I thought we were just doing it for 2021.
Do you see? It's this page right here.
3.
You have 2020
There it is,
dates.
yeah.
Well, they're talking about COVID and they're talking about the initial date.
Yeah, due to
But it's only
COVID.
for 2021.
It's, if you look at
But there
the,
is no initial date in 2021.
there is, well, okay, on this report, page 1, right at the top, under the little silhouette there, for the year 2021.
So would we have left that blank then? Because there was no additional date.
We did not
closed.
have
Well, I
closed.
can, the initial date I took is 2020.
Yeah, but I mean, if it happened in 2017, we're not gonna report it in 2021. I mean, I always understood this is for 2021 and what happened in 2021.
I agree. Who could you check?
So
I'm
we
sure-
should put no date
Okay.
there at all?
Yeah, there's been no date, we were
Yeah.
open the entire time.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
I'll double check with Steve.
It's there for context. That doesn't mean it's right.
I'll double check with Steve.
I prefer putting down nothing, so it shows that we were open the entire time. I don't want people thinking we put down the wrong date, it was 2021, not 2020.
I mean, I can check with Steve. He looked over this, and didn't mention
Okay.
Why don't
that,
you
but I
double
will
check that
double
with him, and if this needs, it says it, board approved sign are due no later than March 1st. I
We
can,
we can make a motion approving a confirmation, pending confirmation of that date.
right, and then I can come in tomorrow and sign it if you need my signature on it tomorrow, I would like to
I can send Steve an email.
I would like to
tonight.
sign the correct version of it,
Okay. Yeah,
but we can approve it.
I make a
Pending
motion, we
the-
approve it pending the confirmation of the COVID closure dates.
Second.
okay.
And so that was Annie and Alan. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, and then on page,
You said you had a couple of questions though.
oh, yeah,
Did you have another one?
No, the first one was the reassignment, cause I thought we
Oh.
put people
Oh.
in DPW over the summer. I guess that was
That
last
was in
year.
spring,
Last
yeah.
summer.
It all
2020.
it all like bleeds together, but
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure, okay.
Okay, so that was it.
so then the final, I think it's just one page, right? The
Page 13.
page 13, what, yes, is the statement concerning public library system effectiveness. I need a motion for, that the Franklin Public Library Board of Trustees hereby states that in 2021, the Milwaukee County Federated Library System did provide effective leadership and adequately met the needs of the library.
I so move.
Annie?
Second.
Judy Miller seconded. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Could I go back to something just for clarification?
Yes.
On the fourth page, it just struck me that the ebook number was higher than our print book number,
Page 4.
page 4 or 14.
Okay, so number 2, number 1 and number 2?
Yeah. Were ebooks actually higher than our print circulation?
Well, they must have been, I mean, these are numbers that Nicholas puts in.
Okay.
I don't actually put these in.
And these could be books that are accessible to more than one library, perhaps? Or this is just how many our patrons
Yeah,
can
do
access?
they know how many Franklin's patrons? I'm assuming they do.
Yeah, they
because-
keep all of that. Mhm.
So I'm assuming this meant books that are in theory available to our patrons.
Well, we have access to the whole digital collection,
Okay,
you know, so that's
but this could be the
a
system.
large number of books that we have, ebooks that we have access to.
All right.
The audio materials, number 3, Alan was questioning why the downloadable one was so high, and that again is because we have access to the digital library.
Fine with me then.
I think it gets a little confusing because our print collection is here in this building, but our ebook is, yeah,
Someday we'll-
accessible beyond this building.
Billions of books are.
Right. Okay, agenda 6C, extension of the youth reference intern position. Jennifer, you want to explain that one, or?
Kinda did in the memo.
Okay,
So if
did
anybody has
everybody
any
have-
questions, they can,
She and I had a lengthy discussion about this, and with the situation with the staff, it all makes sense. I think we had a situation somewhat similar to this a few years ago. So if you trust Jennifer's numbers and her discussion with me, are there questions about any of that figuring or any reason why we would do that? Or she's requesting that, I guess?
I just have one question. The summer intern is generally a student, right?
mhm.
And they're okay with extending
I asked
an
that same
internship?
question.
That's not an issue?
You mean the student itself?
Yeah.
Right.
Usually we've lost out on interns because it hasn't been longer.
Oh, okay.
That was my exact question, Annie. Great minds,
Make
right?
the motion. I make the motion that we approve this extension of the internship from 16 weeks to 24 weeks.
Second.
Alan seconds, Annie made the initial motion, Alan seconded. Any other questions about that or comments? I think it's an excellent decision. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Perfect. Okay. looking at the approval of the library director job description, pages 25 and 26. Ravian is the head of the personnel committee, and she would generally do this presentation, but she's not here this evening. So we held multiple, I would say at least 3 meetings, looking over Jennifer's job description. We got input from at least 3 other libraries.
3 or 4.
3 or 4 other libraries.
And from the city.
And then we dug, Peggy dug up, or Dana dug up
dug
one
up.
from the city too. And they started out, the one that we had on draft, or the one that we had as the job description was at least a 4-page job description. We whittled it down to this 2-page job description. And just to give you an example, we consolidated a lot of stuff. At the very bottom of the first page, the second item from the bottom, appropriately interacts with the community, was probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 statements that we just consolidated into that. On the second page, we consolidated representing the library, you know, multiple statements into that one. We just felt like it was way too wordy. Now, Mike Karolevitz contacted me, and in the interim, or today, he made some further suggestions, which I'm just giving you now. And Judy Williams-Clacky is a member of the personnel committee. He made some suggestions for the ordering of those duties. And you can see his notes there in terms of ordering them for, I don't have his email in front of me, not just for our clarification, but for possible future library director applicants, and then consolidating even further. So I feel like maybe this needs to be tabled so that the personnel committee can look at his suggestions, unless we want to approve this.
First of all, I will tell you, I do not like bullets in essential duties. I'm sorry, I like bullets in essential duties and not numbering, because numbering always suggests to me that something has priority.
And I don't think he was suggesting numbering, I think he was suggesting ordering.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's that, I know that, based on his email. Judy, do we need to look at this again before we ask the board to approve it? Judy Williams, or,
I don't know, I don't think some of these are,
okay, or do we,
but it's up to the board, I mean.
or can we approve
Look,
the
I don't
one
know.
that the committee put together?
Look, I don't know why we are consolidating, like, works closely with the mayor seems to be separate from responsibility for marketing and public relations. Appropriately interacts with the community, I mean, maybe we could put that one in, but I don't know, I think some of these are not really, I would want the multi-year strategic plan to be separate, not part of acts as executive officer, to highlight its importance. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts.
When I read it, I liked it the way it was. The only question I had is, Jennifer, is this what you do? You know, I mean, is there anything here and that's it?
And I guess I failed to say that too. We, in addition to our multiple meetings, we ran all this by Jennifer, because we did not want to create a job description that she wasn't approving of. So she was involved in this, obviously.
I agree with what the committee put together. I would probably eliminate appropriately interacts with the community. I think that's kind of like, how do you even define appropriately? That's not a great word to put in a job description.
Okay.
So I would take that out. Otherwise, I think everything else is good. It is missing an S.
If you would have seen the one we started with,
Yeah.
consolidating it down to appropriately interact with the community.
Yeah, no,
You should.
It's just, I think everything's good. I think they all stand alone just fine with, and then if you go to the mayor one, it says community leader, it should say community leaders. There's just an S.
Which
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Oh, I see that. And then I do think Mike's suggestion about willingness to maintain skills, to say maintain
Yeah.
skills, I think that's a good one. So I don't wanna put this back to the personnel committee and have another meeting on it. We had like 4 meetings on it, I really like to get the job description out. So I guess what I would do is I would move to adopt as it was presented in the initial packet with the changes of adding S to community leaders, removing the appropriately interacts with the community, and changing, the willingness to maintain skills to simply referring to maintains skills.
When might Mike bring this back before us? When, or how long will it be probably before we reconsider this? Time next year? Something
Yeah, I
like
think
that?
we're reviewing it on an annual basis now, right, as part of the evaluation.
So then. this-
Right.
Right.
I think this was his opportunity, and he was fine scanning it and presenting it to us like this tonight to review.
And then you can follow up in the course of the year and then we'll have a little more
And,
time to
right,
talk about it.
right, right. My only comment about the interacting with the community, I think that had to do with, I'd have to pull this out here. Being visible within the library to our patrons and being present and that kind of thing. So I'm okay with taking it out, but just to kind of Judy Miller, that's where that one came from. And again,
That's public relations.
right, okay, I see what you're saying, yes.
Yeah.
And if we're all okay with that, then I totally agree.
Move it on.
Skip that piece of-
Yeah, all right,
So I
so,
made that motion, I guess.
so Judy Williams Kolacki made that motion, do I have a second for that?
Second.
Alan's our automatic second tonight. Okay, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
anybody opposed? Alrighty, we're going on to our policy review, our material selection policy. As a quick background, Jennifer, this was reviewed in 2014. Jennifer and her staff went over this thoroughly and made the very few little changes, I believe, in red. Am I correct, Jennifer? And she and I discussed this thoroughly at our agenda meeting. The one thing I want to point out is the, it's like the third page, which is the first page of the challenged materials policy, to state halfway down the page that people have to be legal residents of Franklin to issue a challenge, given, I think Terry kind of shared this with his colon thing, that there are people within the nation that are targeting libraries all over and challenging things. So if someone wants to challenge our materials, they have to live here. I think that was a good change. And the other change is on the request for reconsideration. The request for reconsideration of materials. Whoops.
Or individuals or groups,
Did you find it? Okay. Do you see the policy where it's, okay. Glance at that quick, and then, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages past that is the actual request form that someone would fill out, that the e-materials have their own totally separate policy and, form that they would have to fill out through the Wisconsin Public Library Consortium. And I thought that was a good, good thing to state on this policy. We do not have any, jurisdiction over the review for those policies. So they would have to file a complaint or a reconsideration form. Questions about these, it's one policy and then follow-up documents, so,
The challenged materials policy, the very first paragraph,
hold on. Challenged, yeah, okay.
policy, and it says material selection policy, which states, it doesn't state that, they're paraphrasing it. And when I read it states, I expected to see that exact same verbiage under the policy before material selection policy, but it doesn't, and am I picking?
What would you recommend, like, what, like,
I almost, don't care, but when it says states, I just wanted you to know that I looked back at the other
You know
one, I
what?
didn't see it stating
That. Yeah,
It
I-
says that in a, but this is paraphrasing it.
Yeah, I think you just say pursuant to which, instead of saying which states, you could say materials in the library's collection are selected under the guidelines established in the library's materials selection policy, pursuant to which the library director is responsible for the selection.
Okay, but that whole sentence then goes it put together poorly to me. It says, which states that the library director is responsible for the selection of library materials and, under his or her direction, professional members of
Yeah,
staff.
that's wrong, that's not wrong, that makes it sound like the discretion is for the director to choose the members of their staff.
Yeah, and I think it should say, which states that the library director and professional members of staff, under his or her direction, is responsible for the selection of library materials.
What if we say the materials in the library's collections are selected under the guidelines established in the policy, period? Do we have to say anything beyond that? We're selecting our materials established under this policy.
Oh, yeah, you can always just reference the.
That's true.
Do we need to
That's
That's
not-
good point.
try to paraphrase the policy?
No, I like
No,
it,
I think it's good.
yeah.
So just get rid of which.
Get rid of
and
after-
next one.
Go, just got period after material selection policy.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, the policy's right here. We don't need to say what it says. Read the policy, right?
Can I just ask, how many times do we get challenges? I'm just curious.
I haven't gotten one. Rachel got one.
Do you remember though when there was a display that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't like the material, that was the display,
That
was
was, they had
last
an
year.
issue with the display
The
itself.
Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but it wasn't the actual material, and whether the material could be in the library, right?
It didn't get that far. I'm sure, yeah.
Okay.
So Jennifer also shared with me, I'm sure, this is no secret, that like sometimes people will say, I don't think this belongs in the kids section. And then it's moved to, so that kind of, and I think that's where we give Jennifer credit for taking care of it, so we never reach that point, right? So we move it to the adult section, or move something from young adult to adult, and then it doesn't have to reach something like this. So the director, our director and staff generally are handling this.
Because a lot of times the question is this appropriate for this area?
For the area,
For the age
right.
level of the area.
Right.
Are we looking for a motion to
We are.
accept these three policies?
So it looks like they're listed as 3. I assume we would, so let's have a material selection policy motion.
Now, there were no changes to that one, am I correct?
Other than the you added an ES under businesses that I see.
I know, yeah.
So I don't know if we
did.
have to,
I think it's still good to date the policy as being reviewed.
exactly.
And, what do we say with ours? Reconfirmed, is the word we use, reconfirmed. If there were no substantive changes, it's reconfirmed.
And we have a couple policies from past meetings, and I didn't bring those. What verbiage do we use?
I put revise if there's changes.
Yeah, there's a couple of changes, I guess.
What, an ES, I don't know if that, so for the material selection policy is the first 2 pages. Jennifer added an ES to businesses.
That was it.
I don't know that really constitutes a change,
What?
but we reviewed it and
Should I put reviewed and reconfirmed?
Just reviewed and approved.
sure,
Reviewed.
I will make that motion for just, so far, the material selection policy.
Second.
Alan seconds. All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, now the challenged materials policy, we took out the sentence in that first paragraph. Jennifer adjusted some language in the second paragraph, and she added that it needs to be a Franklin resident in that,
And I took out groups, so that's something to talk about, because if you want to keep groups in there,
Oh,
my idea
yes.
with groups was, it's much easier to deal with an individual. It could be an individual representing a group, but it would just be an
One
individual,
person.
one
Yeah,
person.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Cause I'm like, can you imagine having to deal with a group challenge?
Yeah. Okay, so that one, looking for a motion to accept that with the changes.
So moved.
Alan?
Second.
Annie? All in favor? Aye?
Okay, can I
Anybody?
just confirm, the changes would be getting rid of that after material selection policy, and then getting rid of the individuals or groups, and that was it?
And then the word change,
Address.
from handle
Oh,
to
yeah.
address.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
that was the word you couldn't think of.
We didn't like that word, handle,
Gonna
we'll
handle it. Right. Okay, and then the request for consideration, reconsideration of, library materials. That's the one where Jennifer added the note about the e-materials needed to, reconsideration needed to be made through the Wisconsin Digital Library Consortium website. Any other questions about that?
Like number 3, have you read, listened to, or reviewed the entire work? If not, which parts have you reviewed? That just sounds wonky to me.
Well, I read chapter 1 and it already offended me there, but I didn't read the rest of the whole book. I
Which
think
might
that's what it's
alter-
getting at.
Which might alter your view of it,
Okay.
of the book.
Of the book as a whole.
So just knowing that they read the entire item, or viewed the entire item, is kind of important information.
Did you read all of Ulysses?
Did you read War and Peace in its entirety?
I mean,
The entire thing you get back to me.
My daughter couldn't make it through Walden. I gave her credit for chapter 1.
I mean, it's not a prerequisite, we'll still,
But at least you know when
But
you're
at least
starting
we
to
know.
discuss it
Right,
with them. I
okay.
think that's the point. You know, if she needs to have a discussion, yeah.
I feel like this is a form, not a policy. It needs
It is
some
a
more
form.
language.
That's what it says in the agenda, it says request for reconsideration of library materials form.
So we're approving a form, but there is no policy.
Well, it goes along with the
it goes along with the
selection.
the challenge.
See,
It's-
these forms are related to the policy.
Right, so if you wanna challenge a material, you have to file that form, so Jennifer knows the details.
Oh, okay.
So the policy says if you disagree with, or if there are materials in this library that they have selected
Oh, okay.
that you don't feel, then you need to file this form.
I don't think boards should approve forms.
Oh.
I think that's just my opinion. I think that's an administrative task to decide what goes in a form and is needed to
Sure,
follow a policy. I mean, I get it, and it's
Sure.
fine, but that's really in the weeds for a board to be designing forms.
Well, and the question I had was, is the request for reconsideration form even mentioned in the challenge materials policy? Did I miss it?
Yeah, it is.
Where is it not mentioned?
so the board should be probably approving the
2.
policy, and if it's referencing forms, then that's up to them to do.
Number 2.
Okay, so we
See
will
it?
do it for
Yeah.
this, and
Okay.
going forward.
Okay, got it. I was looking at the
That's-
trustee
I
one.
mean, every board operates differently. I don't have any forms that the board ever approves.
Sure.
I guess I did, cause they adopted it in the first place, so I thought, well, we
Yeah.
should,
Yeah, and if you have a practice of doing it, then you may continue, or moving forward, you
Well,
might stop
No,
doing
but
forms.
shouldn't we should approve the policy, but not the form, because the policy says it's appended. So
Right.
it should just be one separate thing.
And that's
Or
what,
one motion on the policy, not on the form.
Not this, yeah.
and that's what Judy's saying.
If-
And what
right.
Jennifer's saying is because the initial form was approved by whatever board was in,
Oh, I see, yeah.
she
That's
is
what
just
I'm
following,
precedent.
precedent.
I agree with Judy's.
Judy
But,
Miller.
I mean, yeah.
Or Judy's, gotcha.
We're both
So
right.
how about this, going forward, we would like, Jennifer, going forward, am I getting the sense, going forward, we would like to approve policies only, and the forms attached to them are for you to make the policy usable, right?
But
But
just
it-
for our information, for
Yeah,
boards and
sure.
Right.
And this would reflect the the
Yeah.
same date as the policy. It's
Sure.
just the board's not voting on the form.
Yeah, 'cause otherwise, like, if you decide you like have an error or something, that we have to reapprove the form every single time you wanna make a change to it.
Right.
I don't wanna do that.
So Kristen's not here to ask this question. Do we do this because it's an agenda item here?
I think we just do
And,
it.
and then going forward?
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah,
just
because
going
that's,
forward.
yeah, exactly. So I will, move that we request, that we approve the request for reconsideration of the library materials form with the addition of the changes that Jennifer has made.
Second.
Alan seconds. All in favor? Aye. And then note to self, Jennifer, going
Yep.
forward. Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Should that be something on an agenda? That
Ah.
going forward,
No.
that's okay.
I don't think we need to approve.
Right.
Going forward. She probably has it already in the bylaws or in her personnel job description, which says that she has the right to administer the library.
Yeah.
right.
So.
Yeah, I think it's just giving her feedback what we consider necessary approvals for the board. Yeah. We can always file a form if we don't wanna, if we want something different.
Form?
A form for a form, right? Kristen is not here. Did she give you anything to necessarily report?
No.
Okay, no report on agenda item 7 for the council actions. Franklin Public Schools matter relating to the,
Nothing related to the library, just
okay,
doing well.
yeah. Judy, are they in the process of searching for a replace?
Yes.
And, so when do you anticipate your last board meeting?
With us?
I'm Judy.
I work till June 30th.
Okay.
So I would be glad to fulfill my obligations through the June meeting.
Sure, okay,
I'm assuming it's before the 30th, and then I'm no longer employed
gotcha.
with the district. So I know there'll be a new superintendent hired, so I would probably bring that individual to the
And that's,
meeting.
yeah, and that's, I know there was, yeah, that's part of the job description that this is.
Alan knows more about
Gotcha.
the search than I do.
Sure.
I'm like out of it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I just wanna confirm that, like, you,
That's a place for you to be.
right, that, I just wanted to know when your last one was anticipated, because we're also starting, and,
Potentially May.
sure,
I could
depending
bring the
on-
superintendent, and then that person could take
Sure.
over in June, cause
Yep.
then I would
Good.
not come in June. June will be kind of a little loosely structured for me.
sure, perfect.
Lots.
Am I remembering right that you don't live in Franklin?
I do not.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you'd have to go to the other local
I'll have to go to
library.
the Waterford Library Board.
Oh, that would be fun.
I have experience.
Is the
Yeah.
Waterford Library on Main Street?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a nice little library.
I'll miss you guys. It's been
Yeah.
fun.
Good. Well, all right. And obviously, thank you.
No, yeah, this is,
Yeah.
glad to do it.
Yes. All right. Well, glad to hear things are going well in schools. I think all my neighbor kids are happy. So that's my, you know. Anyways. Okay, agenda item 9, my report. We received a memo, and it is in your packet, from the city and from Jesse. I think it's from Jesse, our attorney, the city attorney, through Peggy, saying that we cannot, no longer are boards and committees allowed to set up meetings as virtual meetings. Is that correct, Jennifer? I'm reading that correctly?
Yeah.
We cannot set up a board meeting as a virtual meeting. Therefore, our committees, like our personnel committee, are going to have, the meeting will have to be set up as an in-person meeting. Now, I am just gonna make a comment that if we set this up as an in-person meeting without having any legal background at all, I am still willing to let Kristen call in if she wants to, like she did last month or the month before, because the meeting is set up as an in-person meeting. So I didn't know if that needs to be clarified, Like if we have an in-person meeting,
I don't think they should be able
I
to tell
thought
us
they
at
were
all
the
how to
boss
hold our
does.
board meetings. Hello?
well, that's a whole nother issue, which I have already
You
just.
should have known that I was gonna say that already.
I know, well, the
Hello,
same.
we are an independent board. We are not a city committee. I've already said this about the recording. I mean.
I
they-
know, and I checked with Steve
Yeah.
about that too, and he said, I would have to go back and look at all those, you know, we'd have to, it's an open records thing, and if the city says that, because we had to apply to the city to be on this board, I mean, we are
Well, I
a
understand
city
that. I
board,
understand
and,
that, but still, it's
you
supposed
know,
to be an independent board. Look, it's not worth making a big fight about it with City Hall, but I
it would be an
inclined-
open meeting
Yeah,
fight,
I would
he
be
said.
inclined to say that as long as we have it set up in person, if somebody calls in, that's.
See, and I feel like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we're having an in-person meeting and Alan wants to call us from Door County because he's sitting on the beach and would rather call into that meeting, we're having an in-person meeting, I'm fine with that.
Or might
And
home
if-
with a cold, worried that it might be something more.
Exactly.
And wanting to protect
Exactly.
us from getting it,
Right.
but can still, but feels,
But
still
we are
feels good
still
enough.
holding an in-person meeting. So I think that's what we'll say, and we'll see if, you know.
Well, we probably can let the person listen in
Right.
according to what they're saying, but maybe we can't have them vote or whatever else. Because if I were missing a meeting, I'd kind of like to stay
Right.
apprised of what's going on.
But all this says is that, and you can read it yourselves, that the meetings are not set up with the virtual attendance of members.
Well, that seems-
Okay, that's attendance, yeah, I guess. To me, that reads like,
It's posted as a virtual meeting.
yes, that's how it reads to me, that we are posting this as a virtual meeting, and we're not.
What do our bylaws say?
Well, that we have to attend the meetings. It doesn't say, because I read over them when we had the issue with
I
the,
think we should revise that. We're revising the bylaws, right?
Well,
we
yeah.
are next month. Could you make a note, Jennifer, to send out those bylaws 2 weeks prior to our meeting rather than with the packet? Can you do
Yeah,
that?
and I think I have to mail them, am I right on that, Judy?
You do to mail them. There's something in the bylaws that says that before we change it to mail them, it can't be like 3 days. It
It's-
can't
there's
be
an-
24 hours
yeah.
before, it's like 3 days or something like that.
Yeah, there's a specific
Yeah, there's a
timeline.
specific timeline.
And they have to be mailed, they can't be emailed,
Yeah, it's physical mail.
yeah.
Well, we'll all
So I
pay
can-
close attention to that.
This email, the very first line, the above and the respective terms have not been extended and expired tonight. What is that about?
Well,
Or is that not something?
I feel like that part was missing, the above
Yeah.
and their respective terms. It must have been this proclamation,
Yeah,
which is not included on this email.
right,
The highlighted COVID-19
But,
proclamation.
but they're talking about terms have not been extended and expired tonight. That's like people are no longer involved. And,
Oh.
but I don't know who those people are, and maybe we weren't supposed to know.
Well, departments should be notified. I mean, obviously it was forwarded to Jennifer, so,
Yeah, maybe we weren't supposed to know about this.
no.
Who are these
Above
people?
and their respective terms.
well, I know there were resolutions made at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, I think he's referring to the mayoral proclamations as
Yep.
being the above.
Yep,
And then the respective terms are the terms of the proclamation.
Yes.
right,
Okay.
right.
Oh, and I was looking at the term,
it's
like we're in a
confusing.
3-year term here.
Yeah,
Right.
no,
Oh,
I think that's
no,
what
no,
it's,
no,
I
no,
think
no,
what
no,
it
the
was saying
terms of
is,
the
yeah,
proclamation,
It's not written very
yes.
clearly, but I think that's what they were talking about was the above proclamations and the terms in them.
Mhm.
Oh.
The actual, like, dates in them have not been
Okay.
extended.
He's younger than me, and I don't say they're under.
I do on all my employment agreements. Do not, but it's not.
All right.
Sometimes do when I get somebody who's like old and.
I think that's vague enough, we can challenge it. Other than that, I just wanna, thank Jennifer and her staff when the world closed down on Tuesday, that there was plenty of staff that said they would be here, and the library was
Oh.
kept open without question. She and I were in contact about, so,
That was a fun drive.
I bet, but kudos to Jennifer and the staff who, and then they apparently still held the program that I didn't even bring my daughter to because I was worried about it.
And we had great attendance.
Exactly, it had good attendance. Probably all the parents whose kids were in school all day were like, oh, I gotta get them out of here. The library's open. So anyways, thank you for that. And but other than that, yeah, nothing more to report. All right, Jennifer, your report for the month.
That's kind of a busy month.
But there was no HVAC, which I always take as a positive.
There's no what?
HVAC.
I know. I'm always gonna put that in there.
Right.
Um,
I just wanna know what happened to the newly hired finance director.
I don't
Me
know.
too.
Alan was trying to find that out too. I said, nope, they're not talking.
Okay.
I've got an in over at City Hall. I'll
That was
ask
my
her.
biggest question when I saw your report.
I know. Hey.
Well, I wanted to point out, we have Susan Budish, who's been here for 25 years.
Wow.
So she and Kathy Shedler, who also has been here 25 years in March, so she'll be on the next agenda, or on the next monthly report. They're pooling their resources and bringing in a cake to
Oh,
celebrate their
fun.
25
Aw,
years here.
nice.
And we're getting them a little something,
Yeah.
so, for the 25 years.
Can I ask if we can get back to having those luncheons, those are like appreciation luncheons?
The
or
volunteer?
breakfast, I mean,
Yeah, we were talking about that. We might, depending on COVID, we might be able to have it in person this year.
okay, and maybe invite people back who've retired for a long stretch like this.
I guess we could, why not? Yeah.
That's nice.
I can go back and invite Terry Kintock, cause she retired a year ago.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the retirement, so, I don't have anybody leave, and then all of a sudden in 1 year I have 3 people leave.
Right.
But, so we have placed the internal, I don't know,
Posting.
posting, thank you. And, I think we're gonna have at least one, maybe more than that, and we'll go from there.
Mm-hmm.
Building and grounds, so still waiting to sign that Cintas alarm. I really wanna get it off my desk, but there's some language in it that's kinda questionable. It has something to do with, they'd only notify one person, and if they couldn't get hold of that person, they would stop.
They wouldn't. Oh.
And you
Yeah.
can't, we're like, no, you go to that person
Down
if you
the
don't.
line, yeah.
So it's kinda weird, they're trying to fix that. And if they don't, then Bob actually is getting an updated quote from Certisite, so we have another one. Gary Wallace met with me last week, and we went through the library and looked at some areas where we really need cameras, and he specifically said those like hidden corners. So, in other areas, we might be able to get away with less because they're wide angle and can cover quite a
Yeah.
bit. But he said that, he definitely would have them in the corner. So, next thing, I've got to work with companies, got to find some companies, and it won't be a Vigilon because that's expensive. If you guys are okay, we were gonna take the plastic off of the bubbler today and flush it and just start using it again, cause after trying to find a brushed brass, it's just
Right.
impossible.
Yeah.
And it would look funny, and it's $5,600. And we have a bottle filler.
Okay.
So, if people really wanna use the bottle filler and don't wanna use the water fountain.
Have you ever thought about selling bottled water? Like
We could-
making it available, like I
Yeah.
drink a lot of water, and I know we had coffee here, but,
Yeah.
can you get a bottle of water for whatever you charge at the desk and just have it available?
We can put that on the sign above the bubbler, too.
I'm just throwing it out there, I mean, we had coffee here, what if people could buy bottled water?
Would we need a mini fridge to keep it
Oh, it would not
in?
be cold.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
It'd just be water.
And then would we have garbage issues?
You'd have to have recycling bins.
Well, don't you have the same thing with
We have
coffee?
recycling bins out.
Oh, yeah, I guess, yeah.
The coffee's not back yet, is it?
No, not yet.
No.
I was actually getting ready to ask Courtney about it and then found out Courtney's leaving.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, no, oh my goodness.
She
It's
is.
just something to think about.
I forgot to
Certainly
put
not,
that
you know,
Right.
ask your assistants, ask
Yeah,
people you
if
work
they
with,
wanna.
you know, but it's pretty harmless. People spill water, it's water, and,
Yeah, it dries.
you know, you're
You could
here,
say
you get
no,
thirsty.
no
Like, I'm
bottled
thirsty
water by the
right now.
computers, yeah,
Yeah.
right, I know,
Get a bottle.
right, yeah.
If you didn't bring it, then you're like trying to hunker down for 2 hours and you're thirsty. You drink from the bubbler then, but
Yeah.
Right.
a lot of people don't drink.
Why don't
from-
you run it past your staff and see what they?
Yeah, just see what they think. I just thought, well.
It would be easy enough.
Yeah, just see what
You
they
could
think.
probably
about
make
it.
some money, cause they charge $2 for a bottle of water, you
Yeah,
can
sure.
practically buy a 24-pack for,
You could charge a buck or something for
Yeah.
bottled water.
Mhm. Okay, I'll
I
look
don't
into
know,
that.
just an idea. I buy bottled water all the time.
So, if you have no problems with it, we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
I do know too that we were just at the Ware Nature Center, and they have a bubbler that you don't have to touch. It's motion
Oh, wow.
sensor that somehow you just, I mean, it has a bottle thing and a bubbler, and you just, my daughter thought it was
Lean
cool.
in.
You just, Mom,
put your
there's
face
no,
in
you
it."
don't have to press anything, you just get close and it turns on. I'm like, okay.
Pretty cool.
But
I'm
it
not
has a bottle
actually-
filler too, I don't know.
I'm not actually as worried about touch. Ryan will
Yeah.
sanitize, and during
Right,
the day, we
right.
always have sanitizer stations around
Right,
the
right,
library,
yeah.
and
Just-
people go wash their hands.
Yeah.
And,
Installation days.
yes, you can see
New speaker.
our new speaker there, old speaker there. So they're abandoning the old speakers in place while Bob searches for these special, because everything in this library is special, double
Tiles.
tiles. And then once we do that, then Bob will
Take out the old
take
speakers.
out the old, so they'll cut the wire so we can take the old ones out, but for a little while they'll be
Use a
there.
little duct tape and, no.
So, and you can see they've got the wires running through the new,
Nice.
so projector will be in, tomorrow will be the last installation day, and then Wednesday will be training,
Nice.
so.
Wait, is that a new speaker?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like the mesh.
and this
Or
is,
the
yeah,
mesh
right
versus
above,
Mhm.
this is new, the one with the wider,
They're just
Right.
like the one above your head almost,
Yeah,
back.
but so that tile is not fitting in there correctly?
They're slightly smaller, the new
And we're not
speakers.
worried about,
So they said if they replaced the old ones with the new, there'd be some room.
Oh, so you're saying if we take out the old speakers,
Mm-hmm.
we need new tiles in those spots?
Right now they're abandoned in place while we try to find new speakers.
Do we need to change them out?
Eh,
I mean, what if we can't find replacement ones?
yeah,
Does it
why
matter?
don't we just leave them?
Bob can, I mean,
I
Bob
had
can
to
tell
really
me-
look hard to find the new speakers at first, cause I just,
Bob
there's so
did
much
tell
up
me
there
you
that
can-
it's like.
You can get these, it's just they're special. You know, it's up to you guys. I don't know how much one of those double tiles are, so I could get let you know how much it would cost to. Obviously, it's not gonna cost Bob, I mean, it's not gonna cost us money to have Bob do it,
I'm just
but,
more worried about I don't like that. You see that? I like that.
This one looks fine to me, what are you seeing there?
yeah.
You can see it from this side.
You can see it from this side too, it's not fit in correctly.
The new speaker.
It's not
Oh, the
flush.
tile, yeah, okay, now I see it, yeah, from my side it looks fine.
Oh, see, I can't
Yes.
see that.
Oh, like when they put the tile in, it's not in right?
It's not in,
Looks like it's about to fall.
yeah, I.
Not about, but
I
you know,
mean-
just like is like barely
Looks like
wedged in there enough to hold it.
Oh, when
Kind
it can
of.
fall down?
I mean, well, granted, it's.
No, I'm
it's
sure like the
I'm
speaker,
sure
I'm
it's
sure
secure on
the
both
speaker
sides.
is mounted, so the speaker will somewhat hold the tile,
See how
right?
the end is
Yeah.
like,
Seriously, people, who looks at ceilings?
I'm worried about falling
Our,
down.
our board is all tied up with ceiling tiles.
That's why I say leave the old speakers in and save the money on the
It's
tile.
7:30, meeting's over, I motion that
Let's
we.
go, yes.
I'll have him fix it, I'll have him fix that one.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, so,
I don't think that.
we already talked about the new finance director. I've
With the
applied for a
grants.
$3,500
Yeah.
grant. Carrie applied for a grant for circulating STEM kits, but
That's
she
awesome.
hasn't heard back yet, so hopefully we'll get that. And then I'm gonna ask for the Waterstone Community Grant again. And we're kinda looking for even little grants that we
Mhm.
can apply for. Personnel, we have already
Kinda
talked about
talked
that.
about, yeah.
Veterans Memorial, we kinda touched on with the, American Legion, Willie Herta posts.
Mhm.
So it sounds like maybe they'll take over the Veterans Day program.
Sounded like.
And the Lions, I didn't know it was definite, but it sounded like it's kinda definite that the Lions may take over maintenance. They had not met, so I don't know if they've met, cause
Mm,
this was one person from the Lions who said,
right, right,
well, he's gotta get all of the Lions
right,
to agree to it. So I don't know if I wanna say yet that they're taking it over,
right.
unless Linda and Wally and Jean had different information than I have, but it looks like they might be. We're having the community shredded event, but it's not gonna be at the library anymore, cause I was talking to somebody who said they went to the one at Oak Creek and there was like a line,
Oh, yeah.
like a mile long.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
It's
wait
not
a
having
minute,
it.
maybe that won't be so good having it in the library parking lot. So they met and came up with a new,
I'm just gonna ask, don't people have their own shredders?
they do, but according to, I mean, so many people, it's like huge amounts of shredding they want done. Like they save everything and then their little home shredders can overheat.
I throw mine when we burn our.
I was gonna say, I haven't got a fire
branches.
pit in the
I gotta
backyard.
stand there all the time. Cause every shredder I buy, it says it's like for 6 pages, and after like 2 months, you can't even get 1 page in
Yeah.
without the
Yeah.
reverse.
Fire pit.
Yeah,
Forward.
Gotta oil it.
Yeah,
you do
gotta
have to
oil
keep
it?
them oiled,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Put oil on the paper and then you put it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of oil?
I've had mine for like 10 years.
Are
my
you
shredder.
serious?
Yeah.
And you use oil on
They
your
have
paper?
Yeah,
shredding-
you just, yeah.
Put a little bit
Shredder
after
oil.
like
I
a
can
year.
use
Like what kind of oil? What are you talking
Kinda
about?
kinda like
WD-40?
the-
That's
well,
not oil.
no, it's like special
No.
oil, probably like your razor oil that you.
Yeah, like I
can-
know my husband does it. Like I just say it's not working right, and he puts the oil on.
Oh my
Just
god.
like,
What
so
kind of
we'll
oil,
stop
Al?
through the paper, and that's it.
But yes.
We have it at home, it says like Office Depot on it. I know where we got it, it's.
Can you bring it
Office
next
Depot
month,
oil.
Alan, so I can borrow it?
Or you bring it to the library or the city hall for the shredded event, or you throw it in your fire pit. So there you go, 3 options.
I burn it in my,
Secret document. I have people's credit cards. that I
Yeah,
shred.
you have to, yeah. All right.
So,
I burn it in
I
the
also have an
fireplace.
office shredder, so it doesn't matter. You know, I just put it in the bin, like when the professional shredders come. But anyway,
No,
sorry.
you know,
Brittany and Sarah are
so-
very excited because their story time attendance is way up.
That's awesome.
So they're very happy about that.
And
And then, yeah, we're
Mm.
starting to talk about summer reading, and we're gonna have a summer reading program. But they're still not comfortable with the idea of having crowding 400 people in this room. So again,
Something,
having
yeah.
smaller programs, maybe
Yeah.
more frequently, and then having a couple of big outdoor ones.
Did they ever consider using the band shell over there?
Yeah, we have to, we have to pay for it. We have to like apply and there's a permit. We're gonna look into it because Brittany
that
actually
just-
wants to have
Is that
a,
just audio, not visual, because they won't see my face going. I mean, you would think we're a city.
Because Brittany's interested in possibly having an outdoor movie night,
Mm,
and then
That'd be cool.
we would see if we could use that field across the street,
yeah.
like, yeah,
We're a city department only when convenient.
yeah.
When they can make money off of us, then.
And then the materials locker, we're heading down to Glencoe on March 14th. I attended a demo, which the demo made it look like it was pretty easy to use. You get scanned a QR code on your phone, and when you come in, you scan the QR code, and the locker that your materials are in just pops open.
Oh, okay.
So, and Steve said he can make a material, a pickup location. He thinks he can make a pickup location of Franklin lockers or Whitefish Bay locker, you know, the libraries
Sure,
that
sure.
are getting the lockers.
Okay.
And then I attended Library Legislative Day in Madison, which was very much fun, and I got a little certificate from the governor for being open during COVID, and
Nice.
so, met with the staff from Senator Bradley and met with Ken Skoronsky himself. That's kinda
Nice.
cool. And then we still have 4 sessions of Great Decisions coming up. We have an author visit and book signing this Thursday. And I gave you the newsletter.
Just going back quick to that, you know, using other city properties for some of our programming. You know, don't we let the city use our meeting room space for free? I think we need to negotiate then.
Wait, they're charging us for using their city property?
Like, if we would wanna use that band
It's a
shell over
permit.
there, we
There's
would
a
have to
permit
like
fee.
rent it, but we let them use this for free, so I think that needs to be a talking point, personally. If Brittany wants to have a movie over there, then,
I
Yeah.
can see like getting on my schedule, but not.
right, oh, we absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, but not paying. Well, then start.
Or the next time they come and ask for us to use something, give them the rate.
Yeah, send them an invoice.
When we had the story time over at Kayla's playground,
Yeah,
somebody over the city like paid our fee for it. I wanna say it was the mayor, but
Hold on, what?
No.
paid the fee.
Paid the fee.
Somebody over there paid the fee
You
for
say
it.
what? They pulled what? How?
Judy was about to get outraged.
Somebody's gotta be outraged.
Okay, moving right along.
Alright.
Did you mention the library legislative day at one of our meetings earlier?
I might
Well,
have
it's a
just mentioned that we were
conference,
going to.
Hmm?
I might have mentioned that I was going to it.
Yeah, it just, if there's more things like that of interest, wouldn't hurt to highlight them a little bit at our meetings, and then maybe we,
Well, it would be part of, it's because it's always that
sure,
whatever date in February, so it would be part of the advocacy calendar we're working on,
okay.
which I have to meet with my husband at his library to work on, cause we don't talk.
I think
work at
what
home.
Terry's saying though is maybe board members might be interested in attending it, so if we
Which is
knew
why it
that
would
date ahead of
be-
time, yeah,
It would be on the advocacy calendar
okay,
as, okay, this is what you can do
all right.
this month, yeah.
You can always point out highlights of the advocacy calendar on your report here, so,
Yeah, well, no, you guys would have the advocacy calendar,
oh, I see, okay. Gotcha.
but I would point it out. It could be like the master calendar, where you just,
The more reminders, the better.
And
That's
then-
my wife.
like, Annie not being at the
Right.
meeting last month.
Is there a report from the foundation, Annie?
Ooh,
Or
you want me
Jen-
to, we skipped
Oh,
that,
or,
didn't
I'm
we?
sorry, were you done with your report?
Well, we were gonna talk about the FPL at a glance statistics
Oh,
report, which
okay.
I forgot to print out in color. But if you have the color version, sorry, Annie, you don't have a color version. There's a lot of,
I
I mean,
like-
I'm starting to kind of compare us to last year now, since we were open.
Gotcha.
And the numbers are all going up, which makes us happy, except for a couple of, what was,
Ebooks?
ebooks is going down, cause I think people can get into the library and check out physical material, so they're not checking out as much
And
e-material.
some programming just,
Oh, that's because
there was
we
no
closed down
programming in January.
Yeah,
Okay,
Excellent.
so it was a good month, and the meeting room use is crazy, but some of that is because we're using it for story times,
right,
so people can spread out, so
right.
it's slightly artificially inflated, but it's still pretty good.
I don't have anything from the foundation, do you?
We have an author,
Oh, that's right.
Lauren Fox.
Oh,
We have one, yeah.
Excellent.
She is very excited about doing it, and she's a pretty, her books, when she has books, there's waiting lists for them.
Okay.
So she's,
And she would come in and do a signing or a program or a ticketed event?
yeah, it would be a ticketed event at the Polish Community
That's right,
Center.
okay.
did we get a date?
No, Barbara has been trying to firm that up, but it's gonna be in the fall.
Excellent.
Your name again?
Lauren Fox,
Lauren?
yep, F-O-X, she lives
And
in
then-
Whitefish Bay, I think she lives in Whitefish Bay.
And what, and she writes?
Genre?
Novels, young
Um,
adult novels?
The one, I have not read them, Barbara Wiesner has read quite a few, and I think Carrie read one. I wanna say they're more on like the suspense,
Okay, gotcha.
fiction, definitely fiction. So that's it. And the other thing is we're talking about doing a fundraiser, calendar fundraiser. And we're looking at the end of the year thinking that maybe people would buy, one for stocking stuffers.
Okay,
And it would just be a short-term calendar. It wouldn't be a whole year.
okay.
So Karen Wiesner's looking into, because there are 2 different types of raffle licenses, and it looks like we have to have both kinds in order to do.
Gotcha.
The other thing is, it looks like our Milkman game date is gonna be August 6th. If somebody hasn't already taken that date. That's the last weekend date that was
Gotcha.
available.
Get on the calendar quick, cause there's not
Yeah,
gonna be any other
so
baseball this
The
year,
foundation
so.
may do a 50-50 raffle
Mm,
for that. We're looking at doing a cousin sub.
The
So
cousin
if there is a
sub.
cousin subs fundraiser, I will email all of you to
Mhm.
go get cousin subs that day. And, Sendix, we're thinking about doing the Sendix Grill
mm,
on Saturday, on a Saturday.
on a
this summer.
Saturday, okay,
So just,
yeah. All right, our next meeting is March,
Did you not give a foundation report last month?
I did, but these are all new developments.
Oh, okay.
she did,
When I was excused.
but Lauren Fox wasn't
Lauren Fox
on
wasn't,
the radar at
Right.
that time.
she wasn't confirmed, like we were talking with her, but.
Cool, that's awesome.
So I would say if the foundation does the thing at Sendix, the grill or whatever they call that, that would be the perfect thing to let the board know of, and if any of us would wanna participate also, I think that would be a great thing that we could show our faces at too, so make sure we know about that.
Or come by lunch, yeah.
Exactly. So March 28th is our next meeting. Does anyone have any issues that are known about that? Not attending? Okay.
Could I ask about something?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is something I've mentioned a couple times, was for this colon
Yep.
I belong to. We visited the Wisconsin Rapids Library. One thing they have is they have these solar panels on the whole roof, so on and so forth. And Jennifer, that's piqued your curiosity, so I guess I'm just wondering, at some point, some preliminary things about that, if it's just to investigate the feasibility, would probably have to be on our agenda. Just to have some engineering study, is it even feasible, something like that. And I'm just concerned that we're gonna get one of these, we're gonna have a roof emergency, and they're gonna say, well, we gotta sink a lot of money into it, and, it gets in the way of it.
Well, Tosa Library too, last year installed solar on their roof.
Which did?
Tosa Library.
Okay.
I mean, Tosa City Hall / library. So I did let Peggy know
Mm-hmm.
to talk with John Rugini, the finance director at Tosa,
Sure. Okay.
to get some details about it. There is a Demco is $100,000 grant for solar, like if a library wants to go to solar, but I'm like, 100,000 wouldn't pay for the roof.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
And,
don't we have to have the roof replaced before
yeah.
we do the solar?
Well, and we just had that study done. Did IRS even give any information about that possibility? And they would need to be involved, because they were the ones that did the whole study on that
When did they
already.
say the roof was gonna go, or when did they identify it as being needed?
They identify it as, it would be, standard roof replacement time, which I'd have to have Bob tell me which, so that's why they recommended repairs to the roof, not, because they said in general the roof,
And I'm assuming it's something that the condition of whatever roof you've got has to match the expected life expectancy of the panels and that. But it might be one of these things where it's, the combined cost, like Rapids, I think, was about $60,000 net of, it wasn't budget money, it was like grant or foundation money, but their part of the initial expense was relatively low. And it'd be nice to find out what are we looking at if we find out a project like this is feasible, but is it feasible financially, those kinds of questions. But I'm just thinking,
right.
it's in the back of your mind.
I'd love to do that, but the question is, well, and I told Peggy it would be nice, cause like the library could probably generate enough for the
Mhm.
library building and city hall.
Mhm.
And
Maybe. Who
it
knows?
could, you know, depending on the scale, obviously, but,
Another very, very futuristic down the road thing to think about is charging stations out in
Oh,
the
yeah.
parking lot.
yeah, see, there's two kinds of charging stations. There's the regular EV charging stations, which aren't proprietary, and then there's the Tesla charging stations. And I think with Tesla, you have to work with Tesla. And they decide, I don't know that they would,
It's just, you can make some money there,
Mhm.
and the community benefit from a
Mhm.
charging
Mhm.
station.
Well,
because
think,
there'd
you
be
come to the
more and more
library.
e-cars.
yeah, you come to the
I
library.
think that was on that,
It is in my,
Is it?
it's
Okay.
on that
Mhm.
master maintenance, whatever, capital,
The master brain.
the
cause
master.
I thought it'd be cool to put them over here, next to the you know, where the those spots
Yep.
next to the Veterans Memorial.
You pull your car up there?
Well, there's parking
There's like
spots.
those
parking
spaces that
spots.
are like,
Yeah.
perpendicular
far-
to-
Right,
yeah.
right.
It's gonna be
Oh.
kind of expected before long, most places.
You might as
Yep.
well do it first,
Mhm.
right?
Cause we're so cool. I make a motion, we
I
adjourn.
knew you were gonna.
Second.
She already has it in the minutes. Alan seconded. All in favor?
Just wait for the time.
All right. You guys have a great month. 7:45 I have, Judy.
That's what I have.
All right.
We've got longer meetings with short